Hello and welcome to Who Is Best, a show where I, Cloudane, take games that give you choices and rate those choices in a tier list. And oh boy, did I give you a choice. It looks like the most popular SSS member is Rixia. I don't understand why she would be the most popular. I wonder if it's her hair. I mean, there are so many other great choices out there. You could.
Chandler, what are you watching?
Sports. Today we'll be examining the cross-spell duology of the Legend of Heroes series. Trials from Zero and Trials to Azure make up what many consider to be the best games in the entire library. While I don't completely agree, these games are pretty awesome and you should play them. Now, as is consistent with the series, you will get guest characters in both games. The first game, Trials to Zero, doesn't give you too many choices in the endgame, so I'm going to focus on the second game. You have the choice between 7 party members in the endgame of Trials to Azure, so that's who we'll be examining today. Oh, and stick around till the end to see the best party for your playthrough. So without any more delay, let's jump into the tier. It's probably not a surprise that the only member of the tier is Noelle. Noelle is situational at best and entirely replaceable at worst. She is terrible at magic, which leaves her as a physical attacker. But you won't need many of those in your party, and since there are 6 characters that are generally better, she has no place on your team. She has a lot of AoE attacks, so I suppose making her a debuffer is your best bet at making her viable. The low tier. The only member of the low tier is Rixia. Yes, that Rixia. She has insta-kill attacks that most of the challenging enemies are immune to. You receive her late in the game, and you have to run through some mental hoops of reasoning to replace Randy or Lloyd on your team. But then again, she is easily one of the coolest characters in the series. Oh, and she has that really big sword. And I mean, is Randy really even that good? You use him throughout the entire series. Shouldn't it be someone else's turn to...
Chandler.
The mid-tier. First on the mid-tier is Ellie. Ellie is a support caster that lives best at long range. She has an affinity with wind, which is a deadly element, but what truly makes her appealing is Strike Bell. Strike Bell allows her to accelerate the party. This has always been a deadly tactic in the Legend of Heroes series, and nothing has changed here. The true reason she's at the bottom of the mid-tier is that she's ultimately replaceable with Wazi. And speaking of Wazi, he is next on the mid-tier. Wazi unlocks late in the game, has the single best S-Craft, and can hand out incredibly high magic damage. Enough so that it makes sense to replace him with Ellie, as most of your support can be handled by other characters, and it's hard to pass up on his damage. The top tier. Lloyd is the best evasion tank in the game. He has the highest evasion, and if hit, he also has decent defense as well. His varying crafts give him an array of strategies, making him the single most versatile character in the game. Spamming his Burning Heart and raking out the damage is a killer strategy for your playthrough. The God tier. Randy is broken. Warcry is just that good. As long as you have Tio or Ellie healing him, he can spam his S-Craft indefinitely. He is the best DPS in the game and pretty much breaks boss fights with this strategy. In fact, with the right strategy, he might be able to one-shot bosses. So yeah, God tier. The final member of the God tier and top of this list is Tio. Tio is pretty much required. She is the best support character in the game. She's similar to Emma in Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4, as her S-Craft breaks any fight. Having complete immunity for 2 attacks is an incredible ability. Slap on healing, analyzing enemy weaknesses, and above average damage potential, and you have the best character in the game. Now as for best party, it's pretty simple. Lloyd will act as your tank while Tio sits on support. Randy is a must-have, and the 4th member can be either Wazi or Rixia. You know, because Rixia is so well-rounded in her abilities. Oh, and don't forget about how she constantly bounces back in battle. She also has those amazing strength and evasion stats. Oh, and her romance with Lloyd isn't bad. And don't forget